It is day 4. We are going to jump right in really quickly. I do want to say that our first couple of exercises are going to focus a little bit more on hamstrings today. Then we're going to jump to a more global multi-muscle mobility movement, and then back to a more isolated one where we're looking at the TFL. So lots of good stuff happening today. We're going to start again with the hamstring. So you're going to come down and you're going to lay down in a nice, flat, comfortable position. So what I want you to focus on first is not to rotate or not to tilt your pelvis up. You're going to tilt it back so that your back is nice and supported on the ground. You want a nice, flush, flat surface and connection to the surface here. And then once you get that neutral position through your spine and pelvis, you're going to take your hands, lace them behind your knee. We're going to do some sciatic nerve glides to start warming up the hamstring and that sciatic nerve. So you're going to come up to where you feel a little bit of posterior chain restriction. So if you feel like the tightness is growing, and it's no longer feeling like it might be, or it might be comfortable if you go any further, you're going to stop there. So come to the level, come through your level of comfort, and then once you get to the edge of that, stop. You're going to hold there, and then you're going to gently pull your toe to your nose and press up all the way to the ceiling. And then you're going to drop back down, move up through your level of comfort. Once you get to the edge of that mobility, you're going to pump, pump. And we're going to do that 10 times. So we're relaxing in between. And every time we go up, we're just encouraging the body to reach the level or the limitation of your mobility so that we can gradually, by centimeters, move further and further into the tension that you might have today. So again, we're going to go through 10 of these. Check in with yourself as you're doing them. Make sure your back is nice and relaxed. Everything should be nice and comfortable. Should be working through posterior chain. Should be getting a little bit of quad involvement in this too, because when you pull back that toe, you inadvertently, everyone does, squeeze your quad just a wee bit, so it's not uncommon to feel some stuff there, and that's fine. But otherwise, the rest of your body should be nice and calm, nice and relaxed. Once you get to 10, you're going to switch sides. So check in, make sure you're nice and flush to the back, and you're going to lace your hands, come up to the point of restriction, pump, pump, and back down. So your ankle, as well as your posterior chain, or the back of your leg, I should say, is going through its full range of motion. Current full range of motion, I should say. Our flexibility limitations are often due to how our muscles are being recruited and fired in the moment. So sometimes we just hold our muscles at a little bit higher tension. Our central nervous system does. Our brain tells our body it needs to be a little bit more tense to be either safe or because it's anticipating a need to move. But right now, we just need to keep feeding in the information that everything should be nice and calm, nice and relaxed. There's no need for added tension to be in our muscles. And the tension that we do have, we're encouraging it to be a little bit more reduced as well. Once you get to 10, we're going to do a standing exercise that isolates the hamstring even more. So you're going to come up. You do not need a giant box for this. This is my wall. So grab a place on the wall. And we're going to come into a B stance position. A lot of you have done B stance RDLs before. If you haven't, I'm going to walk through this in minute detail, so don't worry. But the B stance RDL position is what we're going to mimic to start. So you're going to take one leg, you're going to place it about 18 to 24 inches off of the wall. You're going to take the opposite leg, so in this case my left, and I'm going to put my heel up on the box or the wall. And then my box is not tall enough, I don't think, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly, with my front leg straight, see if it's tall. tall enough to touch my rump? Barely. I'm gonna slowly hinge back into that full B stance RDL position and keep my leg that's out in front of me completely straight. Again, moving slowly through this because as you move, you should feel that hamstring tension increasing because we're targeting that line fully through this exercise. Now, after you get here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna keep your back straight and through your hips if you need it. If you're at this point right now and you're like, whoo, that is good. I am good, I'm gonna hold here, that's fine. If you need a little bit more of a stretch, you're gonna lower your chest while keeping your spine in a neutral position. So no folding over here, keeping chest straight. Some people will go lower than others, some people will go higher than others, that's fine. Then you're gonna come out of it, and then move right back into your tush tapped position. You're tapping that tush on the wall, and then moving back out of it. So you're not focused on the hinge or power motion, really the contractile force to get yourself back up. You're focusing on that downward lengthening of the straight leg. So you want to check in quite frequently and make sure your front knee is straight, because that, if you do have a bend in your front knee, you're going to lose some of the mobility opportunity that you have in this motion. And you want to take about 1 to 2 seconds in the downward pose. You can actually lengthen this time as you go. So instead of 1 breath, you can increase it to 3 to 5 breaths. But right now, let's just move through 10 reps, 1 breath each, and then we're going to switch sides. So again, you're about 24 inches. I'm about 5'8", so I'm going to go about 2 feet. But if you need a little bit less than that, of course, adjust to your comfortability. And then we're going to put our heel on the wall. I'm going to make sure our spine is straight. I like to give myself tactile cues. You do not have to do this, but I can feel if I start to arch or collapse, if I have my hands on my front abdomen and the lower back. And so I usually keep my hands there. Again, you don't have to, but you're going to hinge, so isolated motion through your hips. Knee is straight, back is neutral, everything stays in the position that it starts, except for your hips, which hinge back to tap that wall. Deep breath at the end range. Excuse me, and then back up. You can see here that my left side's a little tighter today. So I am not coming into that forward fold as much as on the right side. And that's fine. You're gonna, again, go through the motion that you feel safe and comfortable in, while also challenging yourself, but not pushing over the line into higher strain levels than you need and that are productive. We shouldn't be compensating due to the intensity. You should still be able to relax the rest of your body as you go through this. And as you get into the reps, you'll likely feel like you can do a few more in a more folded position. Just keep that back nice and neutral. Keep it from arching, keep yourself from folding too much through the thoracic spine and through the shoulders. Instead, tap with the tush, fold through the hip, and then back up. Okay. Once you get to 10, you can move away from the wall. I'm going to back this up just so we have a little extra space. This is an exercise that I do not believe many of you will be familiar with. It is another version of the hip car. But instead of doing the liftovers that we in rotation that we've done previous days, we are going to focus on hip flexion and added hip rotation. So you're going to get down into that nice relaxed position. Again, you can relax your left leg completely. It doesn't need to be active at all. You're going to rotate that pelvis back so your back is nice and neutral. If you have a low pony, you might need to adjust it. And then you're going to drive your right knee up. So I want your toe gently activated so that it's about 90 degrees through your ankle. And as you drive your knee up, you're going to block it with your hands. So you should feel, as your hand and knee connect, you should feel your hip flexors respond. and you're gonna hold that gentle contraction. Now, what's hard is to not really push down through the opposite side as you're driving up. This leg stays nice and relaxed. Left leg is relaxed, right knee is driving into hands at about 50% total effort. And then as you hold that hip flexion, you're gonna rotate your hip out. So you're gonna take your lateral side of your foot and you're gonna rotate it out to the side. And then you're gonna slowly come back in and you're gonna rotate into the inside. And you're gonna ask your body to maintain its hip flexion while those smaller rotary muscles are active. So you're just gonna be like a metronome. Tick, out to the side, talk, inward, tick, out to the side, tick, inward. And you're gonna go slow, so you should feel about 2 seconds out, 2 seconds in, and you're doing 5 to each side. 2 seconds out, 2 seconds in, all while maintaining that hip drive, that hip flexion, and a straight arm so that you can resist the hip flexion, but also be able to relax through your shoulders, not overfire through your shoulders. So you should feel some good hip flexion, action, activity, activation, whatever you want to call it through this exercise. But you should also feel like you're able to get a little bit more rotary movement, rotation inward and outward as you work through the reps. So again, 5 on each side, and we're switching sides. So this time now the right stays nice and relaxed. The left drives up and it connects with your hands. And you're only going to 50%, so you're really not like crushing your hands, but midway through your total contraction or total flexion force. And then coming out. And I am this left side today, I'm telling you. I'm gonna have to note it in my log. So again, 2 seconds, tick, talk. Keeping the left leg nice and relaxed. It's easy to fire that. Body wants to kind of work bilaterally when it really needs to only work on its ipsilateral side. This left side. Ankle should stay at about 90 degrees. Knee should stay at about 90 degrees. You're just working through that range and trying to get yourself a little bit more into the lateral rotation, a little bit more into medial rotation as you go. Here's your cue to not push in with your right leg, not push into the ground, especially as you're feeling any fatigue through hip flexion. Good. Now you're going to relax down. The last exercise that I want us to work on today is isolating the TFL. You can stay in this position. You're going to take your legs, you're going to place them up in a hook lying position is what we call it. Your feet are going to be on the ground, your knees are bent, your hips are, again, all the way flush on the ground, and your back too. So you're going to take your pelvis, you're going to rotate it back so that everything's nice and supported. You're then going to take your left leg, cross it over your right, and put your heel and really ankle bone all together on the right knee. And it's not going to be a figure 4 stretch. This looks very much like a traditional figure 4 stretch. But instead, we're going to keep our hands on our chest, nice and relaxed through the upper body, and we're going to slowly use our left leg to bring our right leg closer to the ground. Keeping the same angles in all your joints, trying to keep your shoulders as much as you can driving towards, or actually I should say relaxing towards the ground. And as your leg gets closer and closer to the ground, you're going to start feeling some restriction through this lateral and anterior lateral hip. Once you get there, you can just relax. We're going to do 5 breaths. And then we're going to come up out of it. Taking our right leg, placing it over the top of our left knee. Again, ankle and heel should be flush with the left knee. You're then going to slowly rotate over using your right leg to put over pressure and guidance through the left. You're going to try not to roll up through your shoulders. You're going to try to relax through your chest so that gravity takes or maintains your chest and shoulders on the ground as much as possible. And gravity and that right foot is helping elongate through the IT band and up into the hip flexor and a little bit of your lateral glutes. Now our hip flexor, our IT band itself does not have a lot of elastic properties, so it's not going to stretch as much as muscle tissue will. So when we are doing this, we're going to take the slack out of the IT band, so a little bit of slack that it has, a little bit of ability to give, but really we're isolating the muscle structures more than we are the IT band. Although it does feel, in a way, that you are stretching all the way down because we're taking the tendon, which is, the IT band is a tendon, we're lengthening it as much as it can, which is only a minute amount because it's a tendon. Tendons don't have that elastic property. And then once it gets to its length, the rest of the mobility you're getting is going to be through that little tiny muscle that does have the ability to stretch. And hold and release tension. I think I held for over 5 breaths. Hopefully you moved out of it and to the other side. We're going to do 3 on each side. So we're going to get about 15 breaths total on each side. Now our goal here is similar to the end of our challenges on other days. We're not only trying to get a better tension response, a lessened tension response through the muscle that we're targeting in this moment, but we're also trying to jumpstart our recovery process. So again, remember, this is your cue to use your breath to calm your body, to tell your central nervous system it can relax and come back to its baseline level where it has the ability to focus more on increasing our energy stores, healing any micro tears from strength or workouts that are required to adapt and get fitter, but still are there, a natural process that we need to occur to grow muscle. But it can put energy into those things instead of having to be in an anticipatory response where it needs to almost be on guard and feels like it needs to ready itself for the next task. We don't want that. We want to tell it, give it lots of feedback that you can chill out, everything's good. Switch sides, and on my right side, I'm stretching out my right side, and I'm on my 3rd rep, so do a couple more breaths here, and then I'm going to switch sides, and we'll be done for the day. Last side. Again, I need to reset a little bit in between to make sure my back is nice and flush on the ground and I'm not reaching forward with my pelvis. That is a common compensation, and I fall victim to it as much as anyone else. So if you are like me, make sure you check in and correct that pelvic location and position so that you aren't feeling any extra strain through your lower back. If you do feel strain, that is most likely the cause. Again, shoulders are just letting gravity pull themselves back and down toward the ground. Big deep breaths, overpressure with the right foot. Nice elongation through lateral hip. Really relaxing through the hip so that you are able to get that end range mobility. And then once you get to 5, you're going to come back up. All right, friends, we are done. We are done with our 4th challenge, and we have one more to go. I hope you enjoyed today.